guys, welcome back to the Central Buzz News. Our current time right now is 11:45 a.m. and this is what it looks like. So our hour hand is almost pointing to the 12, but that's because in 15 minutes it will be 12 o'clock. So I know that hand looks like it belongs to the 12, but not yet. It is still belongs to the 11, and this is our minute hand on the 45. And I just want to remind you from our past news sessions, we've been talking about the word quarter. We know that our clock can be divided into 4 equal pieces, and a quarter on a clock has 15 minutes in it. So since this is 15 until 12 o'clock, we could also say this is a quarter till noon. So that is our current time. So for our interesting thing in history for the month of May, which is the month that we are in right now, we have a very famous volcano that is in the state of Washington. Now I know that you know that Washington D.C. is our nation's capital and that is on the East Coast, but we actually have a state called Washington and it is on the West Coast, all the way on the other side of the country. And in Washington State is where Mount St. Helens is. And in this month in 1980, that volcano actually erupted, and unfortunately it did kill 57 people and it devastated 210 square miles of wilderness. That just means all of the nature, the trees, the animals might have gotten damage from smoke or fire. And we were thinking that that eruption actually happened because the morning of the eruption there was a huge earthquake that may have triggered that. So that's one thing that has happened in the month of May. Volcanoes are pretty cool, so if you look that up, you can see a picture of Mount St. Helens and know that this is the month that historically it erupted. So I'm going to move on to our math concept for today. So this is the time of the video where if you want to pause and work out the problem ahead of me, you can. We're working on question number 1. It says Farmer Brown's farm is 12 acres east to west and 10 acres north to south. How many square acres is it? So it says to use the grid to help you solve. Now I hope that you're already thinking about the other word we use to describe this. And I'm going to give you just a second to think about it. It starts with an A, and I want you to yell it out if you know it. And I hope that you're saying an array. This right here is an array, and we use that to help us find areas sometimes. So again, here's your problem if you want to pause. And then I'm going to show you kind of what I drew out. So this is Farmer Brown's farm. There is 10 is one length and then 12 on the bottom. So when we find area, a lot of the times what we do is we multiply the dimensions. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to do 10 times 12 or 12 times 10. We know in multiplication doesn't matter what order we go in. So one thing that I can do is I see that there is a 10 inside of here. And I get really excited when I see that because I'm really good at counting by 10s. I'm not very good at counting by 12s, but I can count by 10s 12 times. So I could do that, we're going to go ahead and do that in just a second, but there's one other way that I can actually look at this, and it's actually a lot less work if I know my rules of multiplication. So if I know that 12 times 1, what is 12 times 1? Think about that for just a second. Hopefully you're saying 12. 12 times 1 is 12. Then 12 times 10 is actually 12 again, but I put the 0 on the end, and it's actually 120. So before we left school, we talked about using smaller facts to figure out bigger facts. So I got 120. So now we're just going to test that out. I'm going to count with my fingers by 10s and make sure I'm right. All right, ready? Count with me. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. So his farm, going back to what it's asking us and visualizing the problem, we want to make sure when we write our answer, we say 120 what? We don't want to just say 120. So if I go back and look, it says how many square acres? His farm is 120 square acres. All right, so now that we're done with our math concept, All right, so now we're ready for my super special guest. So I'm going to introduce my dad as my guest. I'm super excited to have him today. So I'm going to have him come sit beside of me. What's up, Dad?
Huh, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Right.
So I'm really excited to have my dad here today because he is in what's been going on lately, what we call an essential worker. So first, I want to talk about what the word essential means. So essential just means that it's very important, and everybody's job is really important, but we have certain jobs right now during our COVID-19 situation that are just super important. And those are healthcare workers, those are doctors, those are people that work at the grocery stores where we get our food, and one of our number one essential workers are truck drivers. And that is what my dad does, and he has a very important role in helping us get the supplies we need during this time. So I was glad he could be with us today so I can just ask him a few questions about his job. So first question I have for you is, how long have you been a truck driver?
35 years.
35 years. And you drive, can you explain to them what type of truck you drive, what it looks like?
We pull double trailers, and we're what they call a less than a truckload carrier. You got 4 different types of divisions really of trucking. It's a flatbed, LTL, a truckload. Then you have a frozen food division that mostly hauls all frozen food. That's what they do. We haul non-perishables. We haul anything that's non-perishable from point A to point B, and it'd be anything from household toothpaste to certain types of material, some furniture. When you're a flatbed division, is a trailer that's open. You'll see I haul all your building goods mostly that they use. Then your frozen food just hauls all frozen food totally. That's all they haul from point A to point B, which and all that working together makes up a big circle that makes it work. And they're all working real hard, and everything moves by that. If it stopped, we wouldn't have anything.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And actually, he answered one of my questions from earlier. Was we were talking before this, and I was asking about how frozen food and things that do go bad, if they are making a trip from across the country, how do they make it to their place without going bad? And like he was explaining, they have those frozen food trucks, or the refrigerated trucks. Is there a name for that?
It's a reefer trailer.
Okay.
What they call it, yeah.
So kind of short for refrigerator a little bit?
Yeah.
Probably not, but it sounds like it. So that keeps the food fresh from wherever it comes from. Because for example, Florida is a big producer of oranges.
Right.
So if you want Florida oranges, but we live here or even in New York or California, that's going to have to take a long trip to where it needs to be. So we need those specialized trucks to do that. So
that's all they haul, is the produce.
Awesome. And so like he was saying, he does, because my next question, which we kind of already talked about, was just what kind of things he hauls. So he hauls anything that's non-perishable. I'm glad he brought that word up, because perishable means it goes bad. So if we know we have that prefix non in front of that, that means that it won't go bad. So when you're thinking about foods that are like macaroni and cheese in a box, if you're thinking about toothpaste or toilet paper, things like that, those things don't rot. So, we need those things. So those are the types of things that he hauls. And so he kind of touched on it just a second ago, but we want to reiterate one more time, why are truck drivers considered so essential?
Every piece of good in the whole country moves by truck. So if they have to pick it up at a certain place for your building materials, your food supply, just essential stuff that we use every day in the house. So if all that has to work together as a big group to make it work, and without that we wouldn't. It's the backbone of the whole country, and we don't really think about it like that, really, because we automatically get the stuff, so you don't really think about it.
Yeah, I like that, because when you go to the store and you pick up something off the shelf, you're not really thinking about the journey that it took to get there. So, and if you didn't have those people doing that, especially in a time where supplies are kind of limited right now and we have to get things, that's definitely why that's considered an essential job. But I think even when we're not in a pandemic, still one of the most essential jobs are these truck drivers. So I hope that the next time that you see someone, or if you know someone in your family, you can thank them for the hard work that they're doing all the time, but especially right now, and especially when you're out on the roads and seeing them driving, that we're aware of them and we want to make sure we keep them safe, and that we're all safe on the road. So all of that, I hope you have a new kind of perspective on that. And actually, before we say goodbye today, I want to show you something really special about my dad. So he actually got an award, and we have it here. It's really nice and shiny. This is a safety award, but this is a 2 million mile safety award. That means that he has driven 2 million miles without an accident. So that is really awesome, and we're really proud of this, and I'm really proud of him.
Thank you.
And so I hope that in my driving career, even in my car, that I can make it to 2 million miles safely and on. So we're waiting for our next mile marker from him. So this is just one of his awards, and then he has this really cool watch that I wanted to show you that he gets for some of his safe drivers. This is a 5-year, and he's got a lot of collection of like patches and things like this, but this is our one that we're most excited about, and we can't wait to get more of these. So make sure that you thank a truck driver or any other kind of essential workers, like I said, healthcare workers, the people that are working in the stores right now that have to kind of go out and be there for you for things that you need. Make sure we're thankful for those people. And thank you to my dad for coming on with us today.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yes, we love having you, and I'm so glad you guys got to meet my dad. And so thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.